Today is Shaun King's birthday, and in for Shaun King is...
Okay, people, pay attention.
Now it's time for me to get out of here and do my day job, White House correspondent.
Oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, you fancy, huh?
It's April Ryan.
American Urban Radio Network's White House correspondent and Washington Bureau Chief April Ryan. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom. Well, Tom, as I'm watching people freely walk around the airport this AM, I realize our perception of the reality of freedom is misplaced. You don't understand the concept of freedom until you are not free anymore. These comments I'm making are the result of an unexpected meeting this weekend at CBC annual festivities that left me with a heart full of emotions, pain, gratitude, and fear. My eyes filled up with tears over meeting three beautiful Black men who only gave me praise as they lived a life of horror I could only comprehend through watching Ava DuVernay's When They See Us. That was released on Netflix. Three members of the Exonerated Five, formerly the Central Park Five, purposely made their way to me and praised me for my work, particularly a question of the President of the United States, asking the President if he would apologize to the men. Dr. Yusef Salim, in his height of strength, power, and his amazing calm, thanked me for calling out this question. He said that I was the most courageous woman they knew. I was in shock and humbled. It was all about that question of the president. I asked a question that apparently no one else had bothered to ask during the decades that those men were accused of raping a woman in Central Park. I could not believe in all this time no one publicly asked Donald Trump for an apology for his call for the death penalty of these boys. They were children then. They were teens. They were forced or coerced into pleading guilty for a crime that they did not commit. I asked the president in June of this year, I'm sure you remember, if he would apologize for the full-page ads he took out in the New York Times in 1989. With his words, he made the five arrested teenagers guilty. He tried to sway public opinion in the case and called for the return of the death penalty. In the president's answer to my question on the South Lawn, he said, "You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt." Trump went on to say, if you look at Linda Fairstein and if you look at some of the prosecutors, they think that the city should never have settled the case. So we'll leave it at that. Well, the men were exonerated in 2002. They were released from jail because of a confession and because of DNA evidence. But during the time of the Central Park jogger case in 1989, then civilian Donald Trump once again spent $85,000 on full-page ads in the New York Times calling for the death penalty. What is also heart-wrenching, if it were left to the president, those young men would be dead for his calls from the death penalty. The three men thanked me for being the singular person to put it on the table for the world to see after Donald Trump's public declaration. Trump was not alone. Apparently, Pat Buchanan also tried to wrongfully sway public opinion against the Central Park Five, now the Exonerated Five. But what saddens me is as we fight for justice and equality and for life, we fail to ask the basic questions that humanity offers. I was humbled by their comments, moved to tears, yet it made me realize that we, the people, don't realize the power that we have to work to form a more perfect union. Today in 2019, we've been bullied into submission and not taking care of the basics. There's a new movie coming out on Christmas Day called Just Mercy, once again showing people who've been framed for murder on death row, this time in Alabama. This movie should win an Oscar with the performances from Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan. You must go see it. But looking at both of these real-life scenarios that have been put on film, it takes just one person to ask the relevant questions and the rest to rally around and support. Are we our brother's keeper, or do we only do this in times when it hits home? Because what I see is it's my family on that screen and these true life scenarios. Well, you know I'm from Baltimore, the predominantly African-American, rat-infested city where Freddie Gray lost his life. I'm from a community of survivors who have to look out for each other because that is what we do to ensure that our next generation does not fall through the cracks. Today, I'm asking every person in the sound of my voice to figure out what you're doing to help change the cycle of madness and racism that has darkened the hearts of so many. Everyone, I mean everyone, walks with an invisible cape. We are from the lineage of the strongest that survived, and for that alone, we walk in Wakanda power. However, we all don't have to be superheroes, but we can dream for a better day. I'm calling on all dreamers. I'm calling on all dreamers who have a dis-ease about the hopelessness that perpetuates the injustice. I'm calling on all dreamers who are willing to stand and question authority when it's wrong and applaud authority when they get it right. We don't have to be Harriet Tubman, but we need to keep the push alive for Grandma Moses to be on the $20 bill. We don't have to be Tom Joyner in his push for HBCUs, but we should not turn a blind eye to financial support for these black institutions that need our help.
Preach.
Simply put, we need to be the overseers of our community. Each one of us is in our own unique way an overseer. We are our brother's keeper. No, we are our sister's keeper. No, we are our sister. We are our brother. We are the keepers of the Exonerated Five and others who have been wrongfully labeled and framed. We can't say we have their back and then walk away and allow the system to tear them down when they're still viable contributors to society. Don't be afraid to look at the pain, because we need to recognize it and embrace it so we can say never again and march on. This weekend's meeting with the Exonerated Five propelled me to do a 15-minute interview with the 3 of the 5 members of the group, Dr. Yusef Salaam, Corey Wise, and Raymond Santana. And you can hear the interview on my AURN podcast, On the Record with April Ryan. For the record, these men are not just part of the movie when they see us, but let's truly see them and all the other brothers and sisters in need today and work to change the dynamic of racism and injustice our ancestors fought and died for. Once again, as Iyanla Vanzant says, I am my brother's keeper. No, I am my brother. No, I am my sister's keeper. No, I am my sister. 400 years this year after the first enslaved Africans were documented in this country, we are still not sure if we are part of the Founding Fathers' equation of we, the people, who are still forming a more perfect union. But if we do our part and call out wrong, we will surely change the dynamic that has placed shackles on this nation today. Thank you to the Exonerated Five and others for your strength and courage. When wrong happened, you're still standing for truth. And that's my truth today.
All right, April Ryan. How many Emmys were they nominated for?
I don't know. But you know what?
A lot.
Emmys don't even do it justice. It's not about an Emmy. It's about putting the truth on the table. Yes, it was great. Ava DuVernay did a great job, in this new movie coming out. But the issue is we can't look at this as like, oh, well, I'm going to eat popcorn and leave the theater.
Right.
We have to do something, because yesterday it was them. Today it's you and me.
Yeah. Preach, April Ryan. That's why I love you so much. Yes.
Oh, I love you, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Keep
Got
up the
that
great
good Baltimore
work, April.
love. Yeah.
Yes, Baltimore in the house. Here we go.
Some good Morgan State love.
Morgan State, yes.
April Ryan, American Urban Network's White House correspondent and Washington bureau